Today we are going to work on making a pot of flowers. So we're going to start off with just a plain white piece of paper, some scrap paper, different colors of construction paper, some markers, glue sticks, scissors, some different colored tissue paper to use, and if you want you can use some pipe cleaners, but you don't have to. And a pencil. So what we're going to do first is make the vase. So if you have a student that is working on making straight lines, I would make the vase a square. And I'm going to draw this heavily so you can see it. And you can give them something to trace like this. You could do some curved lines. Something like that. And then I'm going to take a marker and go over it. I'm going to choose a red marker, doesn't matter, and trace those lines. Again, reminding your student or your child to always start at the top and go down, because that's how we're going to write all of our letters, top down. So let's decorate our inside first. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. If you are not ready to cut yet, what you can do is just have a strip of paper, and you can either have your student rip all on their own, reminding them to pinch and twist their hands, versus trying to pull apart, which doesn't work as well. You can also start, so kind of give them that initial tear all the way down the paper, so that then they only have to tear a little bit if they're getting frustrated with that. Another thing you can work on is just those initial snips. So giving them a short piece of paper and some small lines, so all they have to do is line it up and snip. And you can make these lines thicker, like on this paper, so that they can easily line those scissors up. And again, they're only having to squeeze one time. If you're working on cutting on a straight line, like I said, you can give a really thick line, which is the easiest, and then work your way towards a thin line. But this way, they have to work on managing the paper because they have to do multiple cuts. So they have to learn to cut up, as well as to use that helper hand and move the helper hand up. And then have them go and cut smaller pieces, either with or without a line. Like that. So I'm going to use like 3 different colors of paper, and I'm going to glue them all over my vase. As you can see, I'm filling up the entire space. Again, that's another idea, that idea of completeness that is sometimes tricky for students, filling in the entire space and recognizing when there is a spot left versus when there isn't. So you can work on that. And you can do cutting and ripping, and both techniques. Again, either way, it's going to be great if you're ripping to work on finger strength and pinch. And if you are cutting, again, more finger strength, using 2 hands to do different things. Either way, it's a great workout. So we're going to make the flowers that are coming out of the vase. And these are just going to be little buds for spring. So again, if your student is working on straight lines, you can give them some lines to trace. If they're working on curved lines, you might do a little bit curvier ones. And it can either be straight or dashed, it doesn't really matter. But again, when they're tracing it, Remind them to start at the top and going down. And if you really wanted to, you could also, to add some more kind of texture to your project, you could work on gluing a pipe cleaner down. And again, this could work on space and shape and aligning things, as well as you can try and use some bottle glue and work on that precision and squeezing motion. Or you can take a Q-tip and pour a little into like a bowl or an old cup, like an applesauce cup, and then they can use the Q-tip as their glue so they're not getting it everywhere. So now what you want to do is take some different colors of tissue paper, and we're going to cut out just really small parts of it. And if your child has a hard time ripping construction paper, this they should have a much easier time ripping. So again, you can get it started for them if they need that, and then have them tear the rest of the way. Or you can just have them pinch the top and twist their hands. And then they're going to use their fingers to crumple it up and see if they can use just their fingers and if they can do it in just one hand. If they can't, that's okay, but see if they can, because a lot of times kids will want to use their whole hand. And in this, we're trying to get them to strengthen those fingers and use just those. So we're going to take these and crumple them up to make little buds for our flowers. And remember, if your student is struggling with where to put the glue, you can give them a visual cue. So you could say, put the glue on the T, or put the glue on or inside the circle. And they might need help with that idea, but again, then you can use different language like inside the circle or around the circle to get that language also involved in the project. And you can have tons of buds all over the place, so you can have your kids working on pinching and rolling for a long time. You can also have some leaves if you wanted to. Again, if your child is working on cutting, you can have them cut the leaves, or you can have some pre-made ones for your student, and again, kind of work on that gluing aspect. Yeah, if your student is a little bit further along and is you want to practice some cutting with them, you could make leaves that are just triangles, so they're cutting on a straight line. And even something like that could be a leaf. I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. On writing, you could have them maybe give this to someone, and so you could have them write to Dad from either trace that or write it. Either way, but again, reminding them that we always start our letters at the top. We try to lift up our pen, marker, pencil as few times as possible.